Hi, in this episode, I want to talk about how one can select an architectural college. Now, this is not meant for ongoing architecture students, of course. It is meant for students of the 12th standard and their parents who are really anxious about where their child will go and which college they'll get admission to. So I'm not going to talk about the admission process which is there in India, where you have to give an exam called NATA, and also you have to perform as per some guidelines, as per some criteria which they have set in your 12th standard exam. And there's a lot of additional material which you can read elsewhere. But I keep getting these questions on Quora, for example, where I write a lot, on where do we join, like which architecture colleges. Now, the first thing about this particular question is, an architecture college is not a person. Okay, so there is nothing like a nice architecture college or something like that. Now, that may sound like a very harsh statement, because there's something which we usually do. We'll say that this college is nice and that college is not nice and things like that. But if you were to be very, very logical about this, you will say that it is not really a human being, right? So why should we say something which is not a human being as being nice or not nice? Because nice is a property which we apply to human beings. Anyway, so I have some guidelines. One is that I am biased. Okay, so I believe that an architect is best trained when he or she is enrolled in a department of architecture, which is the way I grew up as an architect at IIT Kharagpur, which had a department of architecture. Why is a department of architecture important? Is because architecture is such a overpowering subject that it will really capture your attention, the attention of that child who's growing up there. And there is a danger there that if that particular student is growing up in a environment which is only architecture and nothing else, then he can get very, or she can get very blinkered. Okay, and won't be able to understand what are the other departments doing, what are the other faculty of teaching, what, like, mechanical engineering or mining, for example, or aeronautical engineering. So first preference would be always in any college which has a department of architecture. Now, if you really microanalyze that, you may not have enough time to really sit with the other departments. But even then, the students would be interacting in the canteen or in the hostel somewhere, and that makes a lot of difference. Second criteria is, I always like architectural colleges which has a perforated classroom. That means the class is not strictly rigidly in one classroom, but it's kind of open. This was the format used at Mysore University School of Design. And that had a very interesting design over there. The classroom design was not really in any particular room, and the students were free to go across various rooms and then sit with their seniors. And again, it is to reduce the amount of silo kind of thinking which students often have, and also to promote what is known as vertical teaching. In certain colleges, they term it as a vertical studio, where you integrate students from a senior class into the junior class, and together they do projects. Then third criteria which I would really like to see is the library really good? That's very important according to me, because granted that today a lot of material is there on the internet and a lot of access is there, but nothing beats actually reading a good book. Now, books become obsolete the moment it gets printed. That is one of the deficiencies of a book. The reason is that to get that book out itself, couple of years have gone by, and then the book comes out actually in your hand. And if that library is adding further more bureaucracy into that, then you are getting that book in your hand even later. IIT Kharagpur again really scored really well on this, because they had a system where a new book coming into the library can be issued to a student within literally 10 minutes. So I mean, those of the old guys who are there with me, we know that trick. We have this metal staircase which we climb up, and then we can go directly talk to the librarian and look at all the books which are there, and then get the book we want and get that issued. So library is very important. And along with the library nowadays, internet access and the way that librarian integrates the access to PDF files on the internet, again I think IIT Kharagpur is scoring really well on this, because I think they have the largest online library for use by any colleges, I think. I mean, that you need to check separately. Now the other thing which I really like is based on the actual college. If you get a chance to visit the college where your ward is going to go, then the first thing which I will do, it may sound a little strange, is to check the toilets. If the toilet is not well maintained, that means there is something fundamentally wrong in the administration. Okay, this may sound like why should that be the case? But really, like, if a particular administration is really caring for their students and their faculty, teachers there, then they must have a well maintained, good, clean toilets. The other thing physically which I would like to check is that what is the way the students are interacting. Are they locking up things after the class is over and the students are asked to go away? Well, I would not like to go into a college of that sort, because really a lot of architectural learning in architecture happens not really in the classroom. So you have to allow the students to interact and mix freely and sit across the night also. That would be a very nice advantage. Then the other thing which I like to see is what are the kind of faculty do they have really, because a lot of colleges nowadays are resorting to fake listings on the internet. I mean, those professors really don't exist, and that's really sad. So you need to check whether are those profs really there, and then also check whether those profs have really done something theoretical, like do they have published papers. The other thing you can check is what is the quality of the students magazine over there in that college, and does that magazine have enough editorial independence. And that's one thing which is really important, that you don't have manipulated intellects. The other thing, if you can, is to find out, do they have old experienced teachers teaching the first year students? Because first year is a very critical year where they are just entered the college and they are just at that cusp between school and a professional college, and they really need a lot of really accurate guidance. And if there's no senior teachers teaching those students, especially things like design, allied design, then I mean, if you have a choice, you should go somewhere else if you think that they're all very young teachers who are teaching the first year students. Then lastly, I would like to tell all the students who are listening to this, who are searching for somebody else to tell how the college is, let me tell you a very harsh reality. It is you who will create the culture of that college. So you keep that in mind rather than asking the question, what is the culture of the college now? Will I like it, or will that college be beneficial for me? You're not a plastic penguin sitting with your mouth open for somebody to feed you stuff. That may have happened when you were in school, but that mode is over. So now when you look at an architecture college, you should ask yourself that how is it that I can make a difference there, and do I have the capacity and the capability and the willpower to exercise that change over there. If you think that you can really come out with your creativity, and you have the power and the self-esteem to politely stand there and create the culture which you want, then really speaking, a lot of these points probably may not matter. Why am I saying this is because there is this aspersion which students have about new colleges. And the simple truth is that at some point or the other, these colleges would be new, right? I mean, it can't come in as an experienced, well ironed out college, right? Or an institution. So that should not be the criteria. It could be a new college, it could be an old college. If it is a new college, it could be a good opportunity for you to sit and figure out, can you influence the culture in that college? And a lot of people tell me that, oh, you are from IIT, you can say whatever you want because IIT is already a brand name. But you reflect on how IIT became IIT. It is not really about the faculty, it was not really that much about the library and all, though I did speak about all that. It is really about the students themselves creating that culture there. And that is what is important. That is what makes that particular college. Your stories, which you will eventually leave behind in those 5 years, is what's going to make your own career as well as that college's career. So thank you so much. I hope this was helpful for you. And at Archopus, we will be creating a lot of these kind of videos where we will help students in really understanding how to get into architecture. Thank you.